For me, my understanding of mutuality is seeing, not in a superficial way, but in a very deep way, that everyone and everything is this mystery, this base mystery of spirit, but each one and each sort of moment is an absolute sealed mystery of that. So I'll just give you an example of how I sort of experience that is, for example, when we're gazing, I'm gazing with each of you and I sense consciousness, yeah? And I sense how consciousness isn't just pervading my body, mind, and perceptions, right? My whole world, in some sense. It's also pervading each of you. So my experience with that is there's a unitive dimension, which is consciousness, that's both living my unique experiential world and each of your unique experiential worlds, right? And me being attuned to that reality, in essence, is mutuality.
I like to consider mutuality in three ways. It's a dimension of awakening, it's a practice, which eventually becomes a disposition. It's a dimension of awakening to the extent that we recognize I'm everything. We recognize we are the totality. So we awaken in mutuality. We awaken in interbeingness with all of life, with every human, with every blade of grass, with every insect. So we awaken in mutuality. And in Trillium, we actually leverage the practice of mutuality and awaken in mutuality. There's something very profound about sharing who we are in community and to being mirrored back that allows us to awaken, that catalyzes the awakening process. So we awaken in mutuality metaphysically, and we awaken in mutuality in practice. Another way the mutuality is practiced in Trillium is essentially what we're doing is allowing ourselves to be and express our true and total nature. And as we relate to another person, we're allowing the other person to be and express their true and total nature. And what we mean by true is, our true self, the whole self, the infinite, unbound, awakened wholeness that we all are, each are. And total means, that includes the messy humanness, the imperfections, the things we don't like about someone perhaps, or are challenged by. So we get to practice being our whole self and our true self and expressing it and letting someone else do that as well. It sounds simple, but it can be really challenging, and it is highly catalytic when engaged with consciousness and compassion. And ultimately, that practice of relating from more and more of our wholeness and authenticity, it becomes a disposition, in a disposition of mutuality, where I'm going to lean into you. Who are you? Can I meet you? Can I meet our differences? Yeah, we're one single being, and yet there's differences. Can I engage the mystery that you are? So it's a disposition of being willing to lean into the mystery with another person and being curious and showing up vulnerably and authentically with one another. And it's easy to idealize, and mutuality can be quite messy, but it's highly catalytic in the awakening process, both before, during, and after.
So we hold our own truth and we make space to meet the other person in their truth where they are. And in order to do this, we have to sort of set aside our perspective We don't get rid of our perspective, but we set aside our perspective and we kind of put each other in the other person's shoes. And in a way, we do a little bit more than that. We actually consider the other as part of the unified being. So the other person, we approach them as ourselves in a way. And we know that our knowing or our understanding of what they say is always and only partial, because the person is always a mystery. So we speak in authenticity and with willingness, a deep willingness to be vulnerable and to actually be influenced by the other person.
So an important part about mutuality is the reciprocity and the mutual part of the word mutuality. And that is that we're really making room. I'm making room for you and you're making room for me. And are we willing to continue to stay in that process when the difficulties arise? Can we speak our truth, make room for the other, hear and hold, and make more room to speak, and hear and hold and make more room to speak? Because as Sugandhi said, knowing is always partial and it's also always fluid. We're all always changing. We're all a sealed mystery that can only be partially known. So what's a person's truth is that truth in the moment. And so we have to also be able to recognize that.